absolutely enjoyed my experience here. Will was a phenomenal, respectful, and timely host, and name was a truly fantastic server. 5 stars.
I actually just got a text from the server you had asking for stuff, asking for blue Gatorade. So shout out to Will West at Outback Steakhouse.
Shout out to Will West at Outback Steakhouse. Everybody,
hi.
Welcome to Survivor Stock Watch, Episode 2. Everybody hates everybody. I am Jack. With me, as always, is Will.
Hi.
How we doing, Will?
I don't know, man. So I'm doing good. I don't know how I feel about Survivor 46 episode 2. I remember when Survivor 45 happened, when episode 2 happened, I said it was my favorite episode of Survivor. Not ever, but just of recent memory. This might be one of my least favorites in recent memory.
Sure.
I don't know. So I know there's like a big thing, and Randy, I'm glad you're here because you're the one who's always like, oh, Survivor needs villains. Survivor needs villains. But in the same breath, it also needs heroes.
Yeah.
And we're not really getting that. It's a really mean-spirited so far. Very unnecessary. But we'll get into it. Jack, how have you been?
I've been good. I just got back from Nashville, Tennessee yesterday. I am exhausted, and I slept for about 12 hours, and I definitely already need more.
That's fair.
I watched Survivor on the car ride home in my car while I was driving, so that shows you the dedication I have to this show.
Yeah.
And I made notes in my head to prepare for this episode. I have to agree. That's the thing. I think with the new era, every season and every episode of said season has a certain level of quality, but it doesn't go really far below that or really far above that. It's just kind of got a nice medium-ish quality to it. This episode was definitely one of the worst, not in the sense of its editing, but more in the sense of just the people. And this is quite the unlikable cast of Survivor. I mean, again, episode 1, the most vicious season of Survivor ever, and episode 2, everybody hates everybody. We're not really talking in terms of I really love this person. There's no Tika 3 Kumbaya here on Survivor 46. There's only blood and there's only despise, and it is going to be exciting or kind of sad just to see how it plays out. But before we go ahead.
I was gonna say I think it's gonna be more sad just because I feel like we got a bit of viciousness last season, but that felt almost cartoony in a way because when you put Bruce on a season with like Tora and Jake and they all hate each other, it's funny. This cast, man, they actually have vitriolic feelings of anger towards each other. And it's just, everyone says we want villains. And while, on a first glance, we definitely have more villains this season of Survivor, I caution us to say that because when we get into Yanu later, or, just in general later in the show, you're going to see villain thrown around, but maybe not in the sense you expected. But we start with Jess. Hi, Jess.
Who is a victim of a fake idol, which is funny. Fake idol. Fake idols being so ornate and then realize being like a rubber band and like a couple of beads. And, Jess was like, this is just a couple of beads in this fake idol. And then the real idol is also just a couple of beads. Like, we're just losing creativity by and by. But yeah, we didn't really see Jess as someone that could go too far. So not overwhelmingly surprising that she went here. Just more so in the way of everything that's kind of come to light after she was eliminated. Just seeing her exit interview on Rob's podcast and just in general kind of what's been going on with her. It's been very unfortunate to see that
what we saw on TV was kind of partially true, and she had a really, really bad experience out there.
Yeah, I feel like Jess got really unlucky with this cast. I feel like if she was on like the Tika 3 or had a cast where she was able to gel with people more personably, I could absolutely see her getting picked up by a stronger player and taken far. Because I feel like as a narrator, she had a lot of solid moments. She was really funny in some of her moments, eating ants for whatever reason, talking about losing kids.
Yeah.
And I wish we got to see more of that. But like this whole episode, it felt like it kind of dunked on Jess. But like I don't really think it was deserved because like Jess seemed really nice and really kind. It's not like Roger and Amazon. So it was very sad.
Yeah, someone pointed out on Reddit our beautiful vault of theory and information. There's a picture of Jess in the challenge, and she was holding up 4 of the blocks by herself. And meanwhile, Jess is one of the shorter people in the tribe, while Tiff and Q are holding up 5 together while they're the tallest people on the tribe. And then Kenzie is the one actually dropping the blocks, and then Banu screams at Jess. And it's just like, what can you do truly to make yourself better? Because as much as we want to say it was too harsh, and I agree, it was definitely too harsh. How's it going, Chris? Good to see you. Welcome back. As much as we say it is definitely too harsh, it's also what you do. Like, as much as we want to bash these people, you would do these type of things in other situations in life. You would plant a fake idol for someone to play. You want to make sure everything goes exactly the way you want it to go without any wrinkles. And as much as we hate on that, and I agree, it's quite unfortunate for Jess. It is the game, and we have to take it out of a very objective value when it gets down to it.
I do the same if I was on Survivor. I just wish there was more self-awareness with it. Like, I wish they would have been like, I know Jess tried her best, but like, she's not a number. And I wish they hammered that more. But like when they're in the confessionals talking about how Jess was weak in the challenge, it's like everyone struggled. I don't know. And plus,
she's very, very heavy-handed.
It was. And Jess was an outsider, so everyone roots for Jess. That's just how it is.
That's Survivor. Have you grown a mustache this week, or was it always there? I went to Nashville, so I feel like the stash was appropriate. It will be gone come next episode of Stock Watch. It will just be back to normal Jack facial hair, but I like it, and people seem to like it. So. We move on to Hunter. Old McDonald had a farm. Venus clocked Hunter a little bit this episode, saying, "Hey, I see right through Hunter's facade." And then Hunter actually posted something funny, I think on Instagram, of like a little compilation of him after. But good episode for Hunter, staying out of the limelight, kind of staying out of that Venus and Venus, Tevin, Soda,
debacle,
Nami drama, just to throw the whole tribe in there. Hunter kind of stayed out of it, just doing what he, doing his job. And I think right now he's doing a good job. Do I think it's right up into number 1 contention? No. But
okay, calm down.
Yeah, but he's doing a good job. And I think we're getting just enough from him, and I think he'll do very, very well this season.
Yeah, no, I placed Hunter number 1, not because I think he's the winner automatically. You can't
do that.
I can, and I'm doing it right now.
No, you can't. You can't say someone's the number 1 and you don't think or don't know if they're going to win. You can't do that. That's not the game.
Here's the thing, though. When I think of the Yanu tribe, Nami, my apologies. I do think that they are the more complex tribe of the 3. I think Yanu is. Don't give me that look.
Don't give me the look.
Yanu is the disaster tribe. Who cares? I see Siga. I really think of Bello from the last season. I feel like they're just getting enough, but not a lot. But Nami is really the pushing and going, and I feel like Hunter is in the best position on the complex tribe. That alone, I think, is why
you think Nami's complex tribe.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think when the other tribe goes to tribal, but we still see Nami and we still see the drama on Nami, that's important to know. When the only thing we see of Sega is them building a fire and naming Taylor Swift songs,
And Metallica.
And Metallica. Shout out to Metallica.
Yeah. Metallica, baby.
But that's why I have Hunter number 1 over who I have number 2. However, I do think he's in a great position. We only heard a little bit from him, but it was, hey, I'm still playing hard, but not too hard, unlike another person on this tribe who we'll get to later.
Yeah. No, Hunter's in a great spot. I think there's nothing really to worry about. I honestly don't think either it's too good too soon. I think it's just the amount you kind of need right now, and I don't think there's anything else to say. I think we're getting exactly what we want.
Yep.
To go to Liz, yeah. That image, her meme image will become relevant a little later. But here we go again. Same old dance saying you own businesses. Now, it's funny. I actually saw, again, Reddit, our vault of little topics we like to bring up here. There's an actual strategy to saying you own multiple businesses potentially. And hear me out. We're not crackpot theorying. Rather, we're just extrapolating, pontificating, as you may say. So, you go through the whole game saying, hey, I'm someone who's down on their luck. Economically, I'm not doing that great. Things are going rough for me. And then when people are going to target you towards the end of the game for being in that position because you win the money, you go, yeah, I actually do own a lot of businesses. And I do have $1 billion. And then they're like, oh, so you were lying. But you don't need the money, so we'll take you to the end. And then you say it again that you are down on your luck and you win.
See, I don't know. I feel like saying that is a good way to get second or third. I think of Mike White and I think of Sherry from Karen Mullen. Shout out to Sherry. Underrated player in the pre-merge. I feel like
underrated? Everyone knew Sherry was running the pre-merge.
But when people think of Sherry, never mind. We'll talk about that later. But I think Liz's problem too, though, is that I don't really think she understands the social part of the game. I think she is just seeing it as an adventure. She wants to do it. And I feel like when you're on a tribe like Nami, you have to be gamey and you have to meet people at their level. And if Liz was on another tribe, maybe she could have done better. Or if Nami went to tribal, maybe she played a better game. Maybe she could be in a better position. But it's the same song and dance. And I feel like the edit is just going to dunk on Liz whenever they can. But congrats on Liz for not being in last place. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. We'll get to why someone else is last place. But yeah. Well, the meme image will come in later, and that's all about we could say about this. Right? Yep. And we move to Brandon, who hates everybody on his tribe except for Venus. Funny enough, last episode, he was calling Parvati. He was calling Venus Parvati 2.0. Now this episode, he's working with Venus. So Randon gets the "I hate everyone today" image. But Randon had a very strategic episode. Do we think he wins? No, but I don't really think so. But it was a good episode on his end because he's seen working out decisions and is actually quite logical and is actually very open to working with most people except for Liz, who we called a billboard.
Yeah. So the problem with Randon, he had a really good episode 2, but a really bad episode 1. And so that alone, I can't really put him that much higher. And I'm afraid of his longevity. However, I'm glad that we saw more of Randon as a player because as much as people hate, revealing advantages, as controversial as that is, I think in this case, it made a lot of sense for him to do it because him and Venus were on the outs. And I feel like Venus doesn't really have many other options. And so opening that door, I think was very, very smart for Randon and could potentially squeak them a little further than I think we gave them credit for episode 1.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the right move when it's a great play. You know, hey, someone's on the outs.
Yeah.
They're not feeling like they're working with anybody. Bring them in with something physical.
Tangible.
Yeah, bring them in with something something that they can see, something not a promise or anything, but something that they can actually act upon. And it's a good move. Although I'm worried for Randon because Venus in her confessionals, and we'll get to Venus later, instantly goes, I can't wait to use my beware advantage. And I'm just like, yeah, oh, Randon. If Venus is talking like that, maybe it's more a matter of convenience that Venus is working with Randon and vice versa instead of actual trust.
Well, yeah, I feel like circumstance will always bring them together because they're just two different players that would never connect any other time. But who knows? Who knows?
We moved to Soda, who had a rough episode.
Yeah, it was bad.
Rough episode. Something very, very like we haven't seen this before. Honestly, I don't feel like we've ever seen this before. Grabbing the idol is a part of strategy. I never thought it would be, but Soda trying to yank the idol reflected poorly on her, and her really laying in on Yanu, rubbing salt into the wound of Yanu. It didn't help, and I think Soda had a decent, not great first episode and a abysmal second episode. So much to the point that her winning chances are near zero.
I already think I'm discounting Soda because there's a lot of very smaller moments that also happen in episode 1 and then now where I just don't think she has the social awareness outside of her relationship with Tevin. And that's my big problem with Soda. I think about the Matt chat, the banter, where she kind of rubbed salt in the wounds with Q, who I don't really think said anything wrong about saying like, hey, is our 5 better than their 5? And Soda's like, how's the food? I really think that's in that. And then on top of grabbing the idol, saying she loves to sing songs only for Hunter to discredit that in episode 1. You know, it's all these small moments where I feel like Soda isn't going to have the right footing in this game. Thank you, Chris.
What are your thoughts about that, Will?
I'm actually drinking a Monster right now, so shout out to me. Peach flavor. Shout out to the peach flavors.
Peach flavors.
But I was never really big on Soda. Episode 1, I had her at number 9, and I feel like a strong episode 2 is what she needed, and she did not have it. So
she did not. And she really needed she needed to have a random kind of episode to really solidify as a contender. Like we're off the Chris is exactly right. We've hopped off the Soda train. We're on the energy train. And again, Randy wants to point out something big. There throughout this episode, you're going to see a lot of big hits to people that we originally had a little bit higher up. We have a lot of big downgrades and some decent upgrades as well. But proportionately, we're kind of evening out to the same playing field now. As with the second episode, as always, things become a lot more clear. Is it premiere harmony, premiere, what's the word? Euphoria or whatever, right? Premiere bias. And then we get the second episode and it's completely different. Then, stuff happens.
Yeah. Hi, Tevin.
We go to Tevin, surgery for my legs because I can't stand Venus. Tevin is in the exact same spot for me as last episode because I see him getting to the same point in the game. I see him getting far, and I'm still just as confident that he's not going to win. On paper, it's too good to be true, and in practice, it's actually a lot worse than we think it is. And I think the only thing really speaking for Tevin this episode was them not showing the insane secret scene between him and Venus.
I was going to talk to you about that because I see a lot of conversations online where they're like, why don't they show this? This is important to see. Why are they showing us the Taylor Swift and Metallica battle and not this? And that, I think it's because Tevin is winning this Venus battle. Between him and Venus, Tevin is going to pull out on top, and it's important to show that dynamic because it's a very important scene. But Tevin is a villain through and through after that scene. But if he makes it further, then why show that in the episode? Because I feel like Tevin being a villain isn't going to be why he gets voted out. It's him taking control, which we've seen a lot of. A lot of Venus's points in this episode was about Tevin being this threat, Tevin being a strong player, and Tevin being the king and running the tribe. That's going to be why Tevin goes eventually in this game, but not now and not pre-merge.
Yeah.
Unless I'm wrong.
No. I mean, yeah, unless we're wrong. You've hit it right on the head. I mean, I think Tevin does win the battle. I think Tevin's affiliation with Hunter helps him win the battle because we already see Hunter is going quite far. Yep. And, it's unfortunate. And I think the reason exactly why they hide it is they don't want us to see that bad side of Tevin either at all or just yet, because they need to give us a reason for people to still root for Tevin. Because if we saw that Tevin and Venus scene in the episode, everybody would be on Venus's side. No one would be on Tevin's side. So clearly, Tevin with that has some longevity and will make it decently far. And, it's unfortunate that we basically already know that, but Chris, you've hit it on the head as well. The editors protect certain people. Often one of the ways the editors protect people is through shielding. An episode where something very, very bad happens to them that doesn't make the edit, or one of their best allies go home, and they shield that player and give them not a lot of content so that they won't take a hit. And that is basically exactly what they've done to Tevin.
Yeah. Anywho, let's go to the other side of the spectrum. Hi, Venus. How's it going?
Nobody's
Not
perfect.
good.
My tribe is perfect. And my tribe is nobody. And nobody loves me. Venus
You thought
is
that
in.
was funny.
I did.
Yeah.
Venus was in the exact same spot for pretty much both of us as last episode in a different way. Last episode we were more like, we don't really know where to place her. She could do well, she could not. I think we're both very confident on where she kind of lands now, and it's the same place. It's around that first merge boot. It's the mergatory boot. And Venus, she's got this great kind of underdog story going on in her tribe, even though she is handling about it in a very unsavory, I'm not going to say villainous, because villains, that's a whole debate later, in an unsavory kind of way. And I think we're leading towards a very much like an Ellie from 43 or Sydney from 41 type of mergatory boot here. In terms of raw edit, not in terms of game, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So my thing with Venus, though, is that it feels kind of like not a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't want to blame Venus entirely on her disconnection with her tribe, but like at the same time, I'm not saying it's all Venus's fault because Tevin was a villain in that secret scene, but Venus needs to swallow her pride and ego and suck up.
Yep.
She needs to play to people's egos, but she doesn't want to do that. And I understand why, because no one wants to do that.
That's perfectly fair.
But if she did that, I feel like there might have been a little bit more longevity, at least get her above Randon stock-wise. Yeah. And who knows after that, maybe live for a swap or a merge. But Venus doesn't want to do that, and I get why. But that's kind of biting her here. To where I feel like even though she has that relationship with Randon, I don't see that as the dynamic on the tribe. And the fact that her secret scene or her conversation with Tevin was a secret scene, it reminds me of J Maya last season, how she had this really cool secret scene that did not matter towards the narrative and that kind of gave us the ability to just write her off entirely.
Right. As much as we say Tevin is being protected, Venus is being hurt by not showing that secret scene, and in the way it's bringing down Venus' stock. A couple things to point out here from the audience. From Chris, if Venus was on different tribes, do you think she'd be in the same position? My answer is absolutely not, because I think Venus, I think Venus is the same person through and through. And as much as I want to say that's a product of being on Nami, I think it's just exactly the same on either tribe. Do you agree?
Yeah, Venus needs a new cast, I think, personally.
Does she? That's the thing with, I really love Venus, but my thing is, I think she made it very clear this episode that her personality and her kind of resilience and confidence is unique to her. And I think that wouldn't change.
Picture her on One World with Kim Spradlin.
Oh god.
Like she, like, I feel like if she was in another era of Survivor, maybe I feel like I'm talking mid, like the golden era, you know, like I don't know, maybe Vanuatu, you know, her getting into it with like Eliza Orleans, you know, I don't know, but like Venus is kind of on the other side of the spectrum to Jess, where it's like I don't really see either of them going far in any season of Survivor. Yeah. Unless they get lucky and have like the right people that like really gel with them and they get scooped up.
And that's the thing. There's three, I guess you want to say three different camps of people on Survivor in that regard. It's people that get really unlucky with their cast. It's people that get lucky and do well, but can't repeat that in another format. And then there's people who will do well regardless of cast. You know, we see people like, oh god, who's
this?
You could say Suri. You could say Suri does well regardless of cast, except for villains.
You could say JT did well in one season, had the right cast, right people, and couldn't replicate that.
Absolutely.
Venus is not going to win any season. Yeah. However, she makes for great television. So
she does. Exactly. And that's why second chance. You know, we're you know, everyone's getting fed up. We want returnees soon, and I agree. With no returnees for season 47 or 48, if we don't get it at 50, do you think we'll get it for a while? Because I don't think we'll get it for years if we don't get it at 50.
I think 50 is going to be a landmark season, and they could either make it a Legends or they could do what they did with Palau and Worlds Apart, where they just don't do anything special. If they don't do anything special with 50, honestly, I could just see a random season being a returnee. I could just see like 53, right? What's the relevance? I don't know. Same thing with like 34. Like what was what was special about Survivor 34?
I think now if it's not 50, if it is 50, I think they think about it. But if it's not 50, I think it's just whenever they feel like it. And that is a little unfortunate because it's like not really much listening to fans and more of, all right, I think it's time, whatever, let's just do it. So we move to the Vibe Tribe with Ben, who knows more Metallica bangers than Charlie. Ben is definitely the we'll see about that, Chris. Ben is definitely the carrier in terms of vibes on the Vibe Tribe. He is someone that is really kind of holding up the strength of it. Not necessarily everyone else is bringing it down. Everyone else is supporting it. But Ben is definitely the biggest proponent of that. And I think that works very, very well for Ben's game. And you'll see both of us improve this position slightly, but improve this position because he's going to be someone that people just like to be around. And that automatically gives you a little bit of length in the game.
Ben's problem, though, he's a Cody without a Jesse. Ben is on a very strategic season right now. I think of Yanu, and they're planning fake idols and going a mile a minute. Nami's freaking out. And that's my big fear with Siga. I love Siga as a tribe. They're my favorite tribe. I'm rooting for them 100% of the way.
Yep.
But Ben isn't a strategic force, which is completely fine. You don't have to be a strategic player. You just need to be with one. And Tim isn't really doing Ben any favors. And I feel like Charlie's moving more in the Maria camp. And so Ben needs a lucky break for him to improve his position. And that's my big fear with him. However, I love Ben a lot. You know, I know people don't like the kumbaya of Survivor, but I honestly think in this season, it clashes very well with the Yanu and the Nami tribes. And so I kind of like the kumbaya.
I've seen people complain about the fact that we got this Taylor Swift Metallica sequence on Siga. And I'm just like, okay, so do you want to see Nami and Yanu just fighting all the time? Is that what you want out of Survivor? Like you need balance. And Siga is very, very important and necessary in this season in that regard. But I agree. You know, I think the kumbaya can only get you so far in terms of individual success in the game. And I think Ben's best move as a Cody-like character is to link up really tightly with, honestly, Charlie and Maria, not just Charlie. I think Charlie and Maria would be great for Ben's game. And then, you know, say you get out Tim, and then you have the girls versus Ben. Charlie and Maria side with Ben, and then you get rid of the two girls. And that's honestly a great trio right there.
Yeah, I just don't see it happening because I don't really see the point of Charlie and Maria voting out Tim and then Jem and Mariah anytime soon, because I feel like you just make way too many enemies. You show you're very strategic and you flip-flop. And that's the big fear with Ben. However, on a swap, on a potentially merge, because I feel like Siga might go to one pre-merge tribal. Again, I think they're kind of like Bello in a lot of regards, where they're not the complex tribe, but we just see little bits and little pieces of them, and just enough to just see what they're doing, you know?
Can we name more? Can you name any more Taylor Swift songs or Metallica songs?
I can name the entire discography of Streetlight Manifesto, who has less songs than Taylor Swift. That's my thing.
So you would lose this battle.
I would. But I would also win because I would name the whole discography, you know.
Moving on.
Okay.
It's okay. Charlie Stock, he knows more T-Swizzle bangers than Ben. And we move Charlie up. Again, a really great episode overall from Charlie. We'll talk about this with Maria a little bit more, but we're starting to see the kind of Brando and Kelly situation from last season. You know, we're starting to see a little bit of Bello action on this tribe. And is Charlie Brando or Kelly, and is Maria the same?
So I don't know, because Brando did not have a lot of content at all in 45. And so it was kind of easy to pinpoint that he was the first to go. Charlie had a pretty big episode. I know his episode 1 wasn't anything crazy, but I also can think that's just circumstance, right? Just because the Siga won, you know, we had a lot of bigger characters, and so Charlie just being a Taylor Swift fan wasn't huge. But the thing is, it's like the editors chose to put in the Metallica and Taylor Swift battle. Obviously, that could have just been a have fun scene, whatever, who cares? Or there could be an actual point in the narrative, right? Mm-hmm. And if it's the latter, then Charlie's stock is rising up really big. But no matter what, he has a lot more screen time than Brando, and maybe a little bit more than Kelly. And so I feel like this little duo with Maria makes it farther than Brando and Kelly.
I agree. Yeah, I think Charlie really picked a good partner, Maria. I think they could both work really quite well together, and it's not that kind of Kelly and Brando, hey, we're both in the middle, let's just do it. I feel like Maria and Charlie
really hyped it up that it was a Malcolm and Denise kind of reunion in this sense. And that's a very big deal because, instead of saying, hey, we're both in the middle, let's just work together like Kelly and Brando, it's a more unified and more kind of concrete, we are a duo, we're not just doing well because of circumstance. But Charlie had a good episode, really wanted to make some good decisions, was in that Taylor Swift Metallica battle, wanted to be more social, did that. People like him on the tribe. But we talk about how good Charlie's episode was, but we have to also talk about recent winner edits in Survivor and how they have changed. And I think Survivor winner edits are a lot more complex and a lot more varied. I think Charlie's getting too good, too much, like just too much perfectness.
Like Carson.
Like Carson, exactly. He's getting too much early on. We talk about these great winner edits, and not just in American Survivor. Australian Survivor. Someone had a really strong winners edit, and everyone had them basically number one, and they got eliminated. They got eliminated this week, and it's RIP. It's to the point where we have to really take a look at more of not necessarily just the perfect cookie cutter structure and more of the moments and what they kind of matter to their story overall.
Yeah, because all the winners had negativity at some point in the game. I know for a while it was the pre-merge, right? We had Marianne annoying her tribe mates. We had
Jam in that one episode with
Josh,
Marilyn, we had Gabler.
Gabler's whole game was negative, bro. Let's be real here.
Yeah. We had D at certain points as well. D wasn't the most positive person. We people are negative. Like we have to. The cookie cutter kind of edit, I think. The one we saw with Tommy in Island of the Idols.
Yeah.
Island of the Idols mentioned run. It's gone.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like we have to look for the negativity too. And so when there are negative moments, that's honestly a good thing. But how much of it
it depends on the negativity. How much of it, and it depends on what it is. Like with Soda's negativity this episode, that's bad. That's really, really, really rough negativity. Whereas someone like Hunter, who got a tiny bit, or Tiffany this episode, it's not all bad. Is anyone on this cast getting a Gabler edit right now?
Bond. No, I don't think so. I think the Gabler edit is such a lightning in a bottle. Is that the saying? Yeah. It's such a weird one-off thing that you can't really replicate. And so it's like when we think of the Gabler edit, we think of a cast where there are no clear-cut winners, and so we have to dig deep and we have to think about who's getting the weirdest edit and what that could signify. And the problem with this cast is there's some clear contenders here. There is Hunter. There's a few others that I feel like you can make the case for. Same with Charlie. You can make the case with Charlie, who might have had a perfect edit, but it's still something that blocks the Gabler edit.
And I think at the same time, with the last thing with the Gabler edit, you have to have someone that is so clearly perfect for the win, like True. Jesse. He was 100% going to win the game, and then it was Gabler. You need that kind of thing as going into the finale. You're it's got to be Jesse, and then it could be Carla, and then it could be Gabler. So,
or Cassidy. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Move on to Gem. Jungle Gem. I moved her up. Will moved her down. I don't think it's really much of a reflection of her episode and more just kind of we see where she is now. I think she's a part of the Vibe Tribe. There's nothing really true standout yet with Jem. I think if we were to get something a little more winnery, we would get just a hint more this episode.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Last episode, I said Jem needs a really strong episode 2. We didn't really get it. And so I moved her down. I thought, putting her number 3 was kind of a crackpot. It was kind of a crazy thing because she had that winner confessional. I'm not discounting her yet, but like we need a stronger episode from Jem, who's right now probably the more quiet narrators, quiet speakers on the tribe. And we just haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that she had a moment with the Jungle Gem kind of thing, and that like people latched onto that. I also think Edgic, the community, is blowing it way out of proportion. I've seen a lot of people say Gem is the number 1 contender, far and away. She's winning. Hell no, like that is too far, too advanced. If you're calling it out now, there may be something a little fishy going on with that. Just know that Jem, I think she needs a good episode 3. I think she really needed it, just a little bit more this episode to really make it stronger. But we still have her at the potential of becoming a contender. She's not out by a long shot.
Just keep an eye on Jem. That's what you got to do. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
My name, bro.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I got to rub it in. Will picked Kelly as his champion, and then got sniped right at the final 10.
And look who's number 1 on you, and look who had number 1 last season, bro. I'm just saying.
Because this is different. Because we've already said that this is probably different, and I think it is different. Maria is the number 1 contender for me, not necessarily by far, but she is the number 1 contender for me, pretty solidly at this moment. She had a good episode. She seems very level-headed, and she's really hyping up Malcolm and Denise. And the last time we saw that duo together on screen, the gender pairing specifically, the woman won. Denise won. And so Maria could have that same exact success, but I do think Maria's in a good spot. I think people notice that, and I think one other thing, just a weird sense of importance at the challenge from Tim going, Maria, you've been holding on longer than anybody. Why put that in there?
Yeah. Maria is clearly the strategic force on the Sega tribe, right? Yeah. When you think of the tribes, you think of Kenzie on Yanu, you think of Tevin on Nami. This is Maria. And I know people might lean more towards Charlie because he's getting more confessionals and more screen time than Maria. Mm-hmm. But I feel like Maria has a better edit in the sense that it's not too much. Charlie, I think it's a little too much.
Just like a hair.
Just a tiny, tiny bit. And so I could see Charlie being Maria's shield. Plus, I, again, will always respect how she wants to not be the mom character that we see all the time on Survivor. She wants to play the cutthroat game. She wants to play the game hard. My fear is that it just reminds me a little bit of Kelly, and I learned from my mistakes.
He does, yeah. And Will got burned badly.
I did.
And we always say, "Is it too good to be true?" That is the number 1 kiss of death. Especially now with the new era with winter edits. Is it too good to be true? Too uncertain to say. Not just yet.
Yep.
We finally unite the image from Liz's stock. Mariah and Liz look strikingly similar to each other. Look, I had Mariah as my number 1 contender last episode. I have her at number 4. I still think she has a good shot. And I know a lot of people are down on her and not really thinking she's doing well. She had a bad episode. I just think why show the moments of her, I feel like there's importance with there somehow.
And
Yeah.
especially bonding with Liz, I don't really know. Could that mean they work together? Could that mean they're both pre-mergers? I don't know. But I still have Mariah high. I am very cognizant of her edit, and I do think that if next episode it's just not looking good, I will move her down again.
Yeah, so I technically moved her up, but also it's more of I moved Tevin down, and Tevin was also my top 4. So Mariah for me is still in the very similar spot. It's just now there's a gap between 2 and 3. My big thing with Mariah, the big plus, is that she has a very level head on her shoulder on such a very over-the-top cast. And if she is the winner, or if she is a main character, if she makes it far, the problem is Siga is just the vibe tribe right now. And you have to hide the bigger names. And maybe, Maria and Charlie are big threats going to the merge, and maybe Mariah plays the under-the-radar game. Who knows? My big fear is right now we're just getting a lot of attention on everyone else, except for Jem and Tim.
Yeah.
But Mariah is still my personal number 1 of who I want to see go far, not who I think will go far. She surprised me episode 1, and I want to see more of her. That's where I'm at.
I couldn't agree more. And we move to Tim, reinforcing the No Girls Allowed. And again, with Tim, it's just more of the same. We really saw him. He's still against the girls. He's not really doing much strategically. And you only got to wonder at this point when Siga loses, if Siga loses, as this tribe, Tim's going to go, right?
Yeah. No, Tim did not have a good episode 1 nor a good episode 2. And of everyone on the cast right now, I feel like, I hate to say it, he's just the more insignificant of figures.
Yeah.
He's not last, but it's really not looking good. 16 and 15 honestly are only there because they are negative, while Tim is just invisible. And that sucks, because Tim seems kind of funny in the sense of not directly funny, but just kind of fun to poke fun at. I don't know.
Yeah, he seems like a cool guy. I wish we saw a little bit more, but at the same time, he's just not relevant, and I don't think he will be to the story. So, all right. Well, we are done with the Vibe Tribe, and we need to go vibe and take a break because we've been talking for 47 minutes. So we're going to play an ad from Bracketology.
My name is Jonah Fielko, and I'm the CEO of Bracketology.tv, fantasy sports for reality television. We offer fantasy games for shows like The Bachelor, Survivor, Big Brother, RuPaul's Drag Race, and counting. You start by creating a community. Within your community, you can create a fantasy league for each show that you want to play fantasy games for. Within the league, you can choose up to 3 of our 4 game types, and our most popular is the Advanced League. Choose a team of contestants, and depending on what they do and say during the episode, that's how your team will gain or lose points each week. We also have elimination-style games like our Confidence Pool. This is where you choose how confident you are that each contestant will survive elimination that week. And we've also got March Madness-style brackets. Come back a couple hours after the episode to check your scores and watch you climb the leaderboard. Bracketology is free to play, so grab your friends, your family, your coworkers, and head to bracketology.tv for more info.
The vibe is over.
The vibe is over. I had to go back to Liz real quick because of Chris's comment. I wonder if Liz does Liz own Bracketology and the Outback Steakhouse?
Actually,
and
yeah. Man.
She might.
Shout out to Liz.
Shout out to Liz. Here we go. Let the good times roll. Woo! We are on the meat of the discussion of this podcast with the Yanu tribe, and probably with the meat of, or the most of the meat of our discussion of the episode with Banu.
Yep.
Wow, have the mighty have fallen. Mighty, but have fallen, definitely. Screaming during the challenge, yes! And just the antics at Tribal Council. You can't fault Banu for having emotions or wearing them on his sleeve.
He's a very outspoken guy, and I think everybody can appreciate that his emotions are out there. But at the same time, as Q aptly put it at Tribal, you got to know when to show the emotions. And I don't think Banu really knows that. And he's just kind of letting everything he's thinking fly. And it almost got him sent home. Almost is debatable, but it should have, in theory, got him sent home this episode.
Yeah, I haven't seen a player torpedo themselves in quite a bit of this is a really bad episode for Banu in all accounts, because
one of the worst episodes for a player.
I mean, hilarious. But when you start the episode meditating and saying you're paranoid, and then every single time we see Banu afterwards, it's him being paranoid, him flipping out, referencing Gandhi randomly before a challenge, doing that at Tribal, making the seat hot. I loved Banu this episode. I had to watch this episode twice, and I wasn't the biggest fan, but Banu's antics made it worth. But something to note, when you talk about Jess's exit interview, she mentioned a few things. She mentioned that she was getting screamed at by everyone during the challenge, and they showed Banu in particular. They also said that of everyone of the tribe, Jess was closest with Banu. And so the fact that we're getting a lot of negativity, especially from him, is noteworthy to me. Yeah. Banu is not winning, and
by a long shot.
Not by a long shot. His episode 1 wasn't even that strong. It felt like a lot, but his confessionals were just, I love Survivor. I'm excited to be here. And we're kind of seeing that again of he's in over his head here.
Yep.
And we saw the Banu downfall already.
It was tremendous to watch. I mean, I don't think anything will ever top David Jelinski, the legend David Jelinski, and his downfall from Survivor legend to Survivor legend. But man, just utter train wreck of an episode from Banu. But yeah, it does raise the point, because Banu and Jess was barely closest to Banu on that tribe. It does raise a point. Kenzie, Tiff, and Q must really have the strong hold on that tribe. They must have immediately said, Jess is going, there's nothing she can do. We're just going to screw with her, make sure she can. And yeah, I mean, Banu, to me, is clearly next.
Yeah. Or maybe we're getting into the crackpot theories, bro.
All right. No. So remember how I promised last episode that this episode I would show your employee review?
Yeah.
Next episode, I promise to each and every one of you, we will have some kind of cool graphic for Will's crackpot theories.
Yes.
Yeah. And it will be a permanent addition to Survivor Stock Watch. Mark it down. It'll happen. All right, Will, go ahead.
All right. So there's a 99.9% chance that Banu goes if the Purple Tribe goes next. Honestly, I could potentially them pulling out a win this upcoming episode. I said that about Lulu last time, and then we saw Sabaya go, which was kind of a shock, but kind of not. I don't know. So Banu's not winning the game. I don't think he's making it far at all. But I could also kind of see him as a random player who somehow got lucky. But every time we see Banu, it's always negative. I don't know. But that said, I'm not high on Banu, and I'm kind of waiting for him to go.
I am kind of waiting for him to go as well. I'm excited to see him in a sweater next episode. I think that'll be interesting, given Banu's very intense dynamic that he brings to the game. I'm interested to see how he gets very comfortable in his sweater. Yeah. We move on to Kenzie. And the image for this one, Kenzie does not equal Shan. I've seen a couple people, not a lot, I've seen a couple people say that Kenzie could equal Shan. I wholeheartedly disagree.
I think
No.
Shan was so clearly running the tribe, and no one was really targeting her. Kenzie's already had her name in people's mouths, and she is definitely a threat. People already have recognized it. So Kenzie is not equal Shan, but Kenzie's episode she was the one who came up with the fake idol kind of ploy to throw on Jess.
Yeah.
And so it raises, I think, the most important topic to kind of come out of this episode, and a little bit more of a serious topic of bullying and villainy. And I think a lot of people are confusing the two. I think people are saying that Kenzie, Tiff, and Q are being very villainous to Jess. I disagree. I think they are not necessarily bullying, but surely outcasting. And they are definitely they definitely have villainous qualities to that, but it's not a villain.
Yeah. The weird thing is that I feel like, and we'll get to Tiffany in a second, I feel like she kind of had a very sympathetic edit when I feel like she was also ostracizing Jess. I don't think that they're bullies or, bad people or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the game goes on.
However,
you
gotta play the game.
Narratively, I am discounting all of Yanu. I don't think there's a winner here. I think we're getting. Yep. I don't. Oh. I feel like Kenzie, when you're labeled as a social threat by Jess, who is one of the more unaware players, that's something to note. Q was already like the entire episode saying how much he doesn't trust Kenzie.
Yep.
And Kenzie could squeak by the pre-merge, but I don't think she's making it far at all. I think she's just overplaying her hand and playing way too hard, way too quickly.
Yeah, I agree with this. I don't think it was bullying. I think it's a little unnecessary, a little too much. But then again, you're on the show. Would you do the same? Like, would you do the same kind of thing? Would you employ the same tactics so that your plans went the way you wanted them to go? I mean, seriously, it's something to really, really consider. But I agree. Kenzie being threatened this episode, I do not think she makes it too far. I think she does well, but doesn't necessarily go all the way. She's already been labeled as a threat. She already is very overexposed. And last thing from Brandy, it's more of a contrast to Shan. It's more of a contrast to Shan, in the sense that Shan was way more in control. Does that bode maybe better for Kenzie because people have already outlined her as a threat? Maybe she's like the shield in front of everybody's eyes that are like, oh, we'll just keep her coming along, rather than Shan, who was not necessarily just the right level of threat to get rid of at the final 8.
Yeah. I don't know. And Chris, to your point, I honestly think hiding a fake idol and giving it to someone is never really a good move. Yeah. I think I'd rather it be a defensive ploy. Think of Heroes versus Villains with Rupert's fake idol ploy. I think it's just way too direct, way too bold, and it will just create enemies either in general or on the jury.
Yeah. No, and pre-jury, it's all right. I mean, I think it's okay. But in jury, if you pull something like they just did, forget about it. You won't get their vote. They would quit the jury. They would quit the jury before they voted for any of you. And yeah, David Janot, got to highlight him for his fake idol shenanigans with Sean, who was on the podcast recently.
I know who these people are. Hi, Q.
Okay. Hi, Q. Little devious giving the fake idol to Jess in this episode. Q was a little Q at the episode giving the idol to Jess and saying that he wanted to get rid of Kenzie and then never really ended up doing it. And I guess he was the decision maker
of the episode, like deciding, are we getting rid of Kenzie? But it never really was a decision. And to me, that really hurts Q's chances because it gives him kind of unnecessary forced content when he didn't really need it. And to me, that screams too much too early.
You know what's crazy? This is a crackpot theory. I want you to work with me on this one. All right. I can already see the disbelief in your eyes.
I disbelieve every time you present a crackpot theory.
I don't think this will happen, but there is a universe where they keep Banu and vote out Q.
Explain.
Because while Q is tight with Tiffany, I feel like we've seen Tiffany be closer to Kenzie based off episode 1, right? With the whole beware advantage, right? Q is very clear about wanting Kenzie gone sooner rather than later, about his distrust towards Kenzie. And so I feel like that puts Tiffany kind of in the middle of the alliance, because while Kenzie wants Q, she only really wants Q for the physicality, because Q is a strong person on a very weak tribe. However, if there's a path for them to make the merge, they don't need Q. And when the numbers are dwindling like this, they do not really need the physicality, especially if there's a swap soon or the merge soon, because mergatory is always very early in Survivor.
Yeah.
And when Banu's a strategic liability, that makes for a very easy consensus in the merge. Do I think it's likely? Absolutely not. I think Banu goes next. But if Banu does not go, I could see it being Q. And that sucks.
Yeah. I really think it depends. I think like talking in reality, not in Will Crackpot Theory land. It really depends what Kenzie and Banu could do. You know, there is a journey next episode. Let's say Yanu loses. Let's say Kenzie goes on the journey and Kenzie gets an extra vote. Could we see Kenzie use the extra vote to get out Q?
Yeah.
So that she can have. Yeah, I mean that's a real possibility. I mean, would it happen? Probably not, because Banu's just insane. Exactly. But it is a true possibility, and I think it'd be very interesting to see that. And then we move on to Tiff, and I've seen this a lot less than the Kenzie Shan thing, but Tiffany is not also Ricard. And I think if you were to pick one person who could win from Yanu, and I think this is why I'm a little shocked by Will's take of nobody's winning from Yanu, Tiffany's the only person that really has a chance to win from this tribe. And so I'm still giving her the benefit of the doubt. I don't think anyone else from this tribe wins, but I do see Tiffany's potential of winning the game. She had a really great personal moment right after the challenge. And I think that is important to see. And why do we see that, right? Like, we're always asking the why.
Tiffany is the main character of Yanu. And as much as I am not discounting her quite yet, but I kind of am. I think
that's fair.
I feel like the problem with Yanu, it's Yanu as a tribe. They're just too messy, too incoherent, and I feel like the disaster tribes don't produce winners because they go into the merge, they're always down and out, they're always, gamey, whatever.
Doesn't always. There are circumstances.
Not in the modern era.
Not in the modern era, no.
Not in the new game. The last time we really had a winner from the disaster tribe was Chris.
Oh gosh.
But even then, not really, because you'd spent the whole game, exactly.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
Yeah, it's tough. It was a while ago, surely.
Like Denise. Was there anyone after Denise?
Honestly, not like very concretely. I don't think.
And so that's the big problem with Tiffany. It's not Tiffany as a character or as a player, because I think she makes it relatively far. But it's just, like Tika to me wasn't really the disaster. Yeah,
it wasn't really a disaster. Bruce got medevaced, and then they had one tribal council, but it wasn't falling apart.
It was a dysfunctional tribe.
Yeah, Lulu was falling apart last season. This tribe is falling apart this season. Like Tika wasn't. yeah, fell apart. Tika isn't really like falling apart, you know?
Yeah, like it's the more like when the episode opens up with morale being incredibly low, that does not bode very well because they're also now the underdogs, and
Yeah.
underdogs also don't really make it that far anymore.
Yeah,
And
they're
so
not the
that's
underdogs. They're the
but
disaster
even
tribe.
like yeah, and so it is not odd. It's notable how Tiffany had the sympathetic edit after the challenge, but I'm still not high on Tiffany or her winning chances.
I'm not either. And I mean, we'll see how this happens. I mean, I still have hope, but it is starting to dwindle just a little bit. We move to the tier list. It is back. With the graphs, they came back in episode 2 because we had something to show. And now we have something to show with the tier list. So here we go. We're going to rapid fire these off. We have Maria, Charlie, and Randon with double buys. Great episodes for them. The only one I'd be hesitant on is Randon, just because of a horrible first episode and could potentially be the first boot from his tribe. Maybe. I don't know. We have Hunter and Ben at a buy. Hunter had a great episode. Not really that much content, just a tiny little bit, all we needed. And Ben had a good episode, again, being the leader of the Vibe Tribe, keeping it strong. Could do a little bit better. We have Mariah, Tiffany, Jen, and Venus at stays. Mariah's a stay. Didn't really have too much. Tiffany's a stay. Chances are dwindling. I would consider a small sell for this episode, but I think a stay is appropriate. Jem is a stay. Again, not much. And Venus is a stay in the sense of we had her at the same position last episode, but now we really know kind of what's going on. Bad episode for Tevin. Yeah, let's get into that now. Tevin, Kenzie, Hugh, and Tim with bad episodes. Tevin with a bad episode, for me at least, because just people undermining him, Venus already undermining him. And on paper, you'll see the Edgic on the next slide, but it's a very, very normal winner's edit on paper, and that is just not, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. And I think it was a bad episode for Tevin.
Yep. No, I feel like of Yanu, I feel like Hunter is strategically
You mean
front and
not?
center. Or yeah, Nami. I feel like Hunter edgically is front and center.
Yep.
I feel like Tevin is going to be the shield. He's going to be the big name, big personality, big player, which is great for longevity. But in my ranking, he went from number 1 to like number 5.
Yeah.
And so that's bad. That's a sell.
That is bad. Absolutely. We have Kenzie at a minus, again, being named as a target. We have Q as a sell. Again, not a good episode from him. A little too much for a decision that ultimately didn't really matter. And then we have Tim at a sell, just nothing from him. For Jay's comment, Hunter got nothing this episode. I don't know. He did get really nothing this episode, but I think with just the right amount of premiere edit, I think this was just proper for what it's kind of proper. And I think it was important to kind of show that Hunter had not, he didn't have, if he got a CP positive 5 this episode, we would be like, that's way too much. He can't win. Like he's getting the amount he needs to win. And Charlie is getting a decent amount of that as well. And then we have it double sell. We have 2. See, a little more vicious this season. We're getting a little more down with matches. Soda and Liz. Soda with a horrendous episode. We've already discussed why. And Liz with a horrendous episode, just bogging it down. And then we have Badu with, again, one of the worst episodes with a triple sell. Went from, he could go far, he's got some longevity, to, oh my God, he's next if they lose.
I want to challenge your Liz because
okay,
why would you sell if you had any Liz stock? Because did we really have Liz stock in the first episode?
Okay, but that's but that's the thing. Like I That's why I include the why you have this starts episode 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Once the 3rd episode starts, that's when we're kind of concrete. Okay, these people can win. These people can't win. Right now, we still got a lot of like decent contenders. Like I feel like any of the top 9 could win at this point, right?
Yeah.
Ben and above could probably win in some world. Everyone else can. So we still have a lot of contenders. But once we got to get really into the thick of it, Liz will be gone. Bonnie will be gone, probably. Tim will be gone. Like, we'll have the why do you have this, and there will be a lot more this season. We only really had 1 or 2, like Bruce last season.
Sifu.
Like we only had him for Sifu. But we're going to be a little bit more strong on that, and there's going to be a lot more why do you have this kind of sucks. So we move to the Edgic, the last thing on our to-do list today. Highest visibility, Venus, Kenzie, and Tiffany with 5s. You could certainly argue Venus with a 4 because of not going to tribal. Worst rating, Liz, Soda, and Banu with over the top negative. Just horrendous again. Lowest visibility, a lot of people with 2. And the best rating, Charlie and Tiffany with C positives. Anything before I go into the tip-offs?
No, I feel like that's the episode of. If I was ever on Survivor, though, I'd want my whole Edgic to be over the top negative. I actually want to have a double negative. OTTN and 6 is my dream Edgic for 1 episode. I think I can put it out.
Some tip-offs to leave you off. Kenzie does not equal Shan. We've reiterated that. Kenzie Mariah may equal Kelly. Sorry, Maria may equal Kelly. And Tevin is too good to be true. Again, it's a CB4 with the middle row 2. That's like a Tommy cookie cutter edit. Again, from Island of the Idols. And yes, we say Maria. We've talked about this. Maria is Kelly from 45, just in terms of the circumstance of her tribe, her and Charlie being in that middle, and just being a little too good to be true.
Actually, I have a question for you.
Question to leave us off,
or not a question, but would you agree with me if I said that Soda is kind of like a mix between Marianne from 42, which I think people say all the time for no reason.
Yeah.
And also Drew from 45. The reason why, not because of the narrator or the whatnot or the villainy or the Basile, but I feel like Drew in Survivor 45, he tried putting himself as the main character, right? I think back to all those like banters with Jeff or like Matt chats where Drew like tries to open up or tries to give a story and then Jeff ignores it. I think he tried being the main character and flopped because narrative did not revolve around him.
It's a very interesting comparison to make.
Soda trying to grab the idol and, having the banter and like wanting to talk to the other tribes. I can kind of see that. And I thought of that and I'm like, that's kind of a weird analogy, but like, I don't know. I wanted to bring that up today. I forgot when we were talking about Soda.
It's a very interesting comparison. And I think people are going to start to make more comparisons as things go on, but we got to remember this is their own season. And I guarantee, as with everything, we're not going to see anything like we've seen before, because that is the tried and true formula of Survivor.
Exactly.
Well, we leave you with our review of Will at Outback Steakhouse. Just such a fantastic, timely host. Just really respecting my time.
You want to pull up the picture for episode 3 of us together? We could very easily do that. I don't know. I feel like we got to show the crackpot theory. True.
Visual. That's what we got to show.
We'll throw it in there somewhere.
Yeah. If anyone wasn't there for that, crackpot theories are finally becoming a graphic. We are going to make that a thing. It will be present next episode, and it will become a permanent edition next episode. So stay tuned for that. Will,
Jack,
this has been the Stocks.
Calm down.
Do you have anything else to say?
Shout out to Outback Steakhouse. They should promote me to server, please. I'm working hard. Actually, no. One more thing. Your review got me Outback Steakhouse Employee of the Month.
It did.
It
It
did.
did. How does that make you feel? That I am responsible for your professional success?
Well, you gave me a free dinner for 2, so I was able to eat a nice bone-in ribeye. It was juicy, cooked perfectly with a blooming onion. It was so good.
Wow. Did you go with a date? Did you bring a date?
No, I brought my friend.
Oh,
You know,
that's
I mean,
unfortunate.
technically, but no, it was a fun time. So,
Well, I'm very happy for you that you are now Employee of the Month at Outback Steakhouse, and congratulations for that. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Survivor Stopwatch Episode 2. Everybody Hates Everybody. I am Jack. That is Will. And we will see you
next week.
for Episode 3.